After scoring 0 on the Gaokao, I was admitted to Tsinghua University. After the college entrance exam started, I slept through every subject from Chinese all the way to geography. In my previous life, I was accused of plagiarism by a female classmate. Our test papers were identical, right down to the same typos in the essays. Yet, she turned in her exam paper a full 20 minutes before I did. After that day, I went from being the golden child to public enemy number 1. My whole family was stalked, and stalked online. My father died of a heart attack, and my mother, unable to bear the shock, passed away soon after. As for me, I was run over and killed by a car driven by a radical netizen. So, this time, I decisively turned in a blank exam. When the Gaokao results came out, I scored 728 points. I could choose any school and any major I wanted. This should have been a cause for immense celebration. Yet, my entire family was crestfallen because along with the results came an investigation team from the relevant authorities. Because another examinee in the same examination hall, Li Wenwen, accused me of cheating on the college entrance exam by copying her test paper. Of course, I wouldn't admit it, but we both have the same total score, and the same scores in each subject. The weirdest part is that even our Chinese composition essays are identical. Same typos down to the last character. This matter has received high-level attention. An investigation team was set up overnight to uncover the truth. They found nothing suspicious in either my actions or Li Wenwen's. But, just one thing, during the college entrance exams, Li Wenwen finished every subject early, even handing in her math paper a full 20 minutes before I did. And, because of that, everyone was convinced that I had copied from her even without a shred of direct evidence. Even though the investigation team repeatedly stressed that further inquiry was needed before reaching a conclusion, but the outraged netizens were practically ready to tear me apart. They doxed my home address. Countless rotten eggs and spoiled vegetables were hurled at my windows. The wall outside my home was splattered with chicken blood and paint, a truly horrifying sight. Those people were gloating, even filming a video and posting it online with the caption, "The plagiarist's home is surrounded by righteous citizens." Because of me, my father was suspended from his job that very day. 23 years of service counted for less than 300 likes. He died on a perfectly ordinary morning. No last words. No struggle. It was a brain hemorrhage. The doctor patted my shoulder and comforted me, saying, "At least he didn't suffer before she went." My mother wore the floral dress my father loved most and slit her wrists in the bathtub. My aunt arranged the funeral. While we were burning joss paper, someone threw a stone into the morning hall. It shattered the glass on my parents' portrait, and they laughed and clapped, saying, "Serves them right." Before there was any evidence, they had already decided that our family of 3 deserved to die. I can't stand being at home anymore. Every breath of air here carries the scent of my parents, cutting straight to my heart. I wandered onto the street in a daze. The streetlights cast a dim, yellowish glow. I stood at the crossroads. A car came barreling toward me. The driver leaned out the window, his voice brimming with malicious glee. "You little bastard. I finally caught you cheating on the Gaokao. You've ruined so many kids' futures. Go to hell." The impact was instantaneous. It hurts. God, it hurts. I could feel myself being thrown up and then slammed down. Blood gushed into my mouth. Salty and metallic. I refused to accept this. I wanted to scream, to curse, to tell every single one of them I'm innocent, but my eyelids grew unbearably heavy, and despite my desperate struggle, I was pulled down into a deep, consuming darkness. When I opened my eyes again, the sunlight was so bright that I squinted. It's packed with people, students in uniforms carrying clear bags, frantically flipping through notes at the last minute. I stood outside the college entrance exam hall, clutching my admission ticket in my hand. I looked down at my hands. No wounds, no blood, just clean. Someone tapped me on the shoulder from behind. "Lin Chun, hurry up and get inside." I turned my head and saw Li Wenwen's face. She smiled and gave me a thumbs up. "Do your best on the exam. I believe with your year you're sure to be the top scorer this year." The wind blows in from a distant place. My fingers clutching the exam slip began to tremble. 2. Entering the examination hall. The exam papers are being distributed. The teacher distributed the barcodes one by one. I hastily stuck the barcode onto the answer sheet, then slumped face down on the table, ready to sleep. The invigilator glanced at me in surprise. Her mouth moved, but she didn't say a word. After that, I slept like the dead. The proctor couldn't stand it any longer, and came over to tap on my desk, whispering a reminder. Chinese language is one of those subjects where you can get points just for writing something down. Don't give up on it. I smiled at the teacher. Teacher, I've got it under control. The invigilator shook his head in resignation and walked away. The smile slowly faded from my face. I knew exactly what was going on. To this day, I still don't know why my exam paper was so similar to Li Wenwen's. To ensure such a tragedy never happens again, the best solution I can think of is simply not to write a single word. That way, no one can ever accuse me of cheating on the college entrance exam again. I slept all morning, and now my back is aching. Under the invigilator's disappointed gaze, I handed in my completely blank answer sheet. He walked out of the exam hall with the crowd. Li Wenwen suddenly appeared out of nowhere and rushed in front of me, blocking my way. Lin Shun, how did you do on the exam? I looked at her with some confusion. She realized her question had come out rather abruptly and offered an awkward smile. I'm just worried you might get nervous and not perform well. This college entrance exam is so important. You really need to stay calm. I gave her a slight smirk. Don't worry. Getting into Tsinghua or Peking University is a sure thing. Li Wenwen visibly let out a long sigh of relief. That's good. That's good. In the following exams, I turned in blank papers for all of them. There was a different proctor for every exam session. In every session, someone would lean down in front of me, looking at me with that exasperated, disappointed gaze. But bound by the invigilation rules of the Gaokao, there was nothing more they could do. After the final exam, I handed in a perfectly blank answer sheet and walked out of the examination hall. Students stood in small clusters in the hallway, comparing their answers. Some laughed, some cried, and some shrieked as they flung their backpacks into the air. The sun was still blazing, its glare dazzling the eyes. I stood squinting in the light, feeling like a ghost who had slipped into a celebration of the living. Someone called my name from behind. Lin Shun. I turned around to find my homeroom teacher, Mr. Zhao, standing behind me, his gaze on me filled with complicated emotions. The principal wants you to come to his office. The principal's office was on the 3rd floor of the administration building, its door slightly ajar. I knocked twice, and a voice from inside called out, Come in! The principal, surnamed Fan, was in his 50s, with a receding hairline and a round face framed by a pair of black-rimmed glasses. Lin Shun, he began, his voice quiet. I heard someone in your exam hall handed in a blank paper. It's me. I cut him off before he could finish. Principal Fan's expression darkened. He slammed his hand on the table. Nonsense. We had everything planned perfectly before the college entrance exam. Why now? At such a crucial moment. Principal, believe it or not, I had no other choice. You'll understand in time. I walked out of the principal's office, his furious roar, full of frustrated disappointment, echoing behind me. Free these days after the Gaokao ended. I've been holed up in my room planning my strategy for getting into Tsinghua or Peking University. Which professors are generous graders? Which dining halls have the best food? Which library carols are by the window? I've created several folders on my computer, crammed full of screenshots and notes. Li Wenwen is with me, too. After the college entrance exams, many people saw me being called into the principal's office and heard the principal's furious shouting. My classmates thought I had failed the exam, so they politely left me alone. Only Li Wenwen. We used to be on pretty distant terms, to the point where we wouldn't even say hello when we saw each other. But now, she's been coming over to my place all the time. Her eyes lit up the moment she saw the webpage open on my screen. Lin Shun, are you looking at the Tsinghua Peking University course selection guide? Let me see. Let me see. She pulled over a chair more excited than I was, pointing at the course list on the screen, and saying this one sounded interesting. That professor was supposedly really kind, but this one was no good. Grades were notoriously low. I glanced at her sideways. It was the same in my past life. Identical lines. Identical expressions. I found it odd even back then, because I knew exactly where Li Wanwan stood academically. Her usual test scores placed her in the lower middle range of our grade, and she only scored around 400 points in several mock exams. With her level, forget about Tsinghua or Peking University. Getting into any undergraduate program at all would be a stretch. Yet, she threw herself into researching strategies for Tsinghua and Peking University with even more enthusiasm than I did. I asked her at the time, "Why are you looking into it in such detail? Are you that confident in your estimated score?" She said with a laugh, "University courses are all pretty similar anyway. I'm just researching Tsinghua and Peking University to set a goal for myself and have a reference point." I believed her at the time. In this life, I asked her the same question again. She gave the same reply, even using the same filler words. This time, my doubts grew deeper and deeper. 2 days before the college entrance exam results were released, admissions officers from Tsinghua and Peking University arrived. This happens every year. Before the results are even released, they already have a list in hand. Long before the official announcement, teachers from Tsinghua and Peking University are rushing to students' homes to secure top talent. The door to our house was knocked on just as Li Wanwan was at my place. When she realized the 2 visitors were teachers from Tsinghua University's admissions team, she nearly jumped for joy. She practically flew to the door, her face beaming with a brilliant smile. "Hello, hello, please, come right in." The 2 teachers, clearly not expecting her to answer the door instead of me, offered polite smiles and extended the paper bag in their hands. "This is a small token from the school. We wanted to come by early to connect with our outstanding student." "Thank you, teacher." Li Wanwan snatched the paper bag and held it close. The teacher froze, then pointed at Li Wanwan and asked me, "Is this your sister?" I shook my head. "Just a classmate hanging out at my place." Li Wanwan also realized her behavior was a bit rude, and she reluctantly handed me the paper bag. "Lin Chun, you should have a good talk with the teacher then. I'll head off first." I nodded. As she was leaving, Li Wanwan winked at the admissions officer. "Teacher, I believe we'll meet again soon. I'll be waiting for you at home." I watched her walk away, her back fading into the distance. I feel so overwhelmed I can't breathe. It's certain that regarding this matter, Li Wanwan must know a lot of things that I don't. Why did the tragedy of the previous life happen in the first place? I'm afraid she's the one who knows everything. For the news broke less than 2 hours after Li Wanwan returned home. After seeing off the admissions officers, I glanced at my phone to find the screen flooded with notifications. College entrance exam scandal takes new turn. Li Wanwan accuses Lin Chun of plagiarism. Exclusive. Li Wanwan's tearful account of being plagiarized. Shocking. The truth behind identical scores and same exam papers revealed. The photos all show Li Wanwan sitting on her own sofa, a box of tissues in front of her, her eyes rempledig schoten, and her lips trembling slightly. She spoke with genuine emotion. I always considered Lin Chun a very close friend, so I was completely shocked to learn he could do something like this. When I found out the truth, I fell apart. I couldn't eat or sleep for days. I know Lin Chun would want me to keep quiet, but for the sake of fairness in the college entrance exam, I have to speak up. The first comment under the video hit 100,000 likes within 10 minutes. Arrest Lin Chun. Cheating on the college entrance exam is a criminal offense. Trending topics, hot lists, top headlines. All platforms lit up in an instant. The comment section was eerily uniform, as if everyone was reading from the same script. I scrolled through hundreds of comments, and not a single one spoke up in my defense. Occasionally, someone would ask, "Is there any proof?" only to be instantly drowned out by a flood of replies accusing, "Are you trying to whitewash the cheater?" This time, it was faster, fiercer, and more coordinated than the last. At least last time, after the results were released, there was an investigation team, and they at least mentioned further investigation. This time, they've skipped the investigation process altogether, jumping straight to the stage of public trial allowed. Frantic banging came from outside the door. The clamor from outside accompanied the shuttering of the door. "Lin Chun, come out. apologized to Li Wenwen. You cheating dog. D. I took a peek through the peephole. The hallway was packed with people. There were professional cameras and microphones, journalists wearing press badges, someone giving a live report on camera, and others adjusting the lighting behind them. Residents were filming with their phones. Some were shouting angrily, and others were cheering. And at the very front of the crowd stood Li Wenwen. She wore a white dress, her hair loose, and the expression on her face was a carefully crafted pain. I called my panicked mother, then opened the door. The moment I opened the door, all the noise fell silent for an instant, then exploded back with a sudden burst. Camera flashes exploded in my face as a dozen microphones were thrust toward me. Reporters surged forward like a tidal wave, all shouting the same question. Linchin, why did you plagiarize? What do you have to say to Li Wenwen? Will you apologize to the public? I didn't look at the camera. My gaze fell on Li Wenwen. She looked at me, her eyes slowly welling up with tears, her lips trembling as if she were the true victim. Linchin, why would you do this? I always considered you a friend. Why did you copy my exam paper? I didn't answer. Linchin, you need to apologize. No, you were in the wrong here. You owe Wenwen an apology. A tall, thin man with black-rimmed glasses pushed his way through the crowd. Zhang Yuan, my brother from another mother. From freshman to senior year, we shot hoops, shared instant noodles, and snuck out to hit the internet cafes. He stood in front of the camera, his expression serious. Linchin, he really plagiarized. He admitted it to me himself. The reporters swarmed forward like sharks that had scented blood. Are you a close friend of Linchin's? What exactly did he say to you? Do you know the details of the plagiarism? Jian Yuan took a deep breath, his face grave. He called me the night of the exam. He said his mind went blank from the pressure, and seemingly Li Wenwen writing nonstop. A thought suddenly occurred to him. He said he was by some foolish impulse. He suddenly turned around, and facing my direction bowed deeply. Linchin, I'm sorry. As your true friend, I have to say this. It's for your own good. You can't keep making the same mistakes. Just admit to it. Accept the judgment of the law. After you serve your time, everyone will give you another chance. I hope you'll reform yourself. Come out and start a new life. He spoke with genuine emotion, tears streaming down his face. His voice, so sincere it was deeply moving. The reporters standing nearby nodded in approval. Now that's true brotherhood. With a friend like you, he won't keep going further down that crooked path of crime. I stood there watching them perform with a quiet smile on my face. Then let the law judge me. If you don't leave now, I'll call the police and have you thrown in jail. 2. Public opinion reached its peak in the following hours. Some are organizing offline protests while others are launching petitions on websites demanding severe punishment for the college entrance exam cheater Linchin and justice for Li Wenwen. The number of signatures surpassed 500,000 in under half a day. Li Wenwen returned from my house empty-handed and appeared on camera again looking utterly pitiful. I can understand Linchin's fear right now. As his good friend, I can forgive him for the harm he caused me, but I cannot stand by and watch him cheat his way to the top of the class, snatching the university spot that should go to a truly deserving student. Everyone was singing Li Wenwen's praises, proclaim her as the goddess of justice. Then the official announcement was released. Official score announcement directly released on the Provincial Education Examination Institute's official website. It's written in black and white, crystal clear. Everyone can verify it. Name, Linchin. Subject, scores, Chinese 0, Mathematics 0, Foreign Language 0, Geography 0, Chemistry 0, Biology 0, total score 05. The moment the announcement was posted, the entire internet fell silent for a second. Then it absolutely exploded. 0. All zeros. Wait, wasn't he accused of plagiarism? Did they catch him? If it were detected, it would probably mean the score gets reset. But in his case, it seems like it's just a 0. Oh, right. I just remembered. My cousin was proctoring the college entrance exams over there this year, and I think she mentioned something about a student turning in a blank paper. So, he turned in a blank paper, and Li Wenwen accused him of cheating with a 0. What was there to copy? At that moment, Li Wanwan was live streaming with great enthusiasm. Facing the camera, she wept uncontrollably, her breath catching in ragged sobs. Her eyes were rimmed with red, her nose was flushed, and tears clung precariously to her lashes, threatening to fall. I never imagined speaking up for my rights would be this difficult. I've received so many threatening private messages these past few days. I'm just an ordinary girl who wants to uphold fairness in the college entrance exam. I'm really scared right now. I hope everyone can give me some encouragement. The barrage of comments was a uniform "see if you can do it." Wanwan, we support you. Wanwan, and justice will prevail. Then, someone posted a comment. Li Wanwan, Lynchen got a 0. Are you sure he copied your paper? The barrage of comments paused for a moment. Then another comment popped up. I saw it, too. Lynchen got 0 points overall, with 0 scores in every subject. Didn't she say Lynchen copied her test? How can you copy and still get a 0? So, Lynchen didn't answer the question at all. Then, what was all that she said before? The style of the bullet comments has started to change. Doubts shattered the barrage of messages supporting Wanwan. Li 11 stared at the screen, her expression frozen as if someone had hit pause. The tears were still wet on their face, followed by a look of confusion, too sudden to hide. Impossible, she said with a smile forced. Yet her voice rose. 0 points. Lynchen must still be refusing to see reason and admit his mistake, so he's just spouting nonsense. Don't be fooled by his deception. The barrage of comments sped up. How can an official announcement be fake? Didn't you say you had proof before? If Lynchen got 0, how could he have copied from you? Li 11's hands began to tremble. She cleared her throat and forced a smile that looked worse than crying. I'm not entirely sure what's going on just yet. I'm going to end the stream for now. But once I've looked into it, I will absolutely give everyone an update. She moved her hand to the mouse and clicked to end the stream before the live stream was shut down. But the microphone in the live stream picked up her soft whisper clearly. No way. He said it himself. He said he could get into Tsinghua or Peking University. How could he have scored 0? What's going on? 0 points. The system clearly told me we were just supposed to have the same test paper. Could I have misheard? Did they just transfer his answers directly onto my answer sheet? The screen went dark, but the bullet comments kept scrolling wildly in the chat room. Wait, what did she just say? What system? The more you think about it, the scarier it gets. 6. Li 11 rushed straight to my place after ending her live stream. The door wasn't locked. I left it open for her. I managed to talk my parents into joining a tour group and going on a trip. When Li 11 burst in, her hair was disheveled and her eyes were bloodshot, with none of the carefully crafted, delicate vulnerability she displayed during her live stream. She stared at me, her chest rising and falling rapidly. What's going on? What on earth is happening? Why does the Education Bureau's announcement say you got 0 points? Ismail Daher, what's wrong with that? I turned in blank papers for all subjects, so of course I got 0 marks. Her voice was hoarse, unrecognizable to herself. You deliberately turned in a blank exam. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? What you've made me? I sat in the chair, calmly watching her. What harm have I done to you? Have I stopped you from framing me? Have I taken away your chance to ruin my life? Her tears finally fell. She crouched down, clutching her hair, her voice muffled against her knees. You've ruined me. You've ruined everything. If you hand in a blank paper, I'll never get into Tsinghua or Peking University. I know. Her head snapped up. You figured it out, didn't you? I have a system. As she spoke the word, a flicker of mad self-mockery crossed her face. A month before the Gaokao, a system suddenly appeared on my phone. It said that if I bound myself to a target examinee, my answers would become identical to theirs. I chose you, the top student in our school. I thought that way I could get into Tsinghua or Peking University. I could get into Tsinghua or Peking University. But why? Why did it have to be this way? I stared at her and asked the question I'd been curious about for 2 lifetimes. If what you're saying is true, you could have easily gotten a higher score with me and gone to Tsinghua or Peking University. So why did you report me for copying your paper? What good does ruining me do for you? Li Wanwan stared at me for a long time. Because Zhang Yuan found out. Her voice suddenly dropped. He caught me talking to the system. He said if I didn't report you for plagiarism, he'd expose the whole system thing. He said he hated you. Hated that you always came first. Hated how all the teachers favored you. Hated that your father had more respect at the factory than his own. He said he'd been waiting 3 years for this day. I closed my eyes. So that's it. It wasn't some complicated reason. Not some earth-shattering conspiracy. All it takes is one person desperate to steal a grade, and another blinded by hatred, and together, they can push someone into the abyss. Li Wenwen had completely lost her mind. You ruined my chances of getting into Tsinghua or Peking University. How are you going to make it up to me? I let out a cold laugh. You all ganged up to slander me, causing such a huge impact on my life. And you still expect me to return good for evil? Li Wenwen glared at me with a terrifying expression. You believe it or not, I could go live right now and say that you bullied me at school before the college entrance exam, driving me to mental breakdown, which is why I accused you of plagiarism. The online community already believed you copied me, and they've long since branded you as a heinous criminal. All I need is an excuse, and they'll feel justified in continuing to attack you. By then, even if you're not officially accused of plagiarism, your life will be ruined. I tilted my chin upward in Li Wenwen's direction. You make a very good point. That's exactly why I was worried, and why I set up the camera, and started the live stream before you arrived. What? The color completely drained from Li Wenwen's face. I picked up my phone, and turned the screen toward her. Bullet comments flooded the screen like crazy. So, no one actually plagiarized her at all. Did she copy from someone who ended up turning in a blank paper? So, Zhang Yuan was in on it, too. Oh my God. Was she orchestrating the whole thing from the start? Investigate. We must get to the bottom of how that system works. Li Wenwen collapsed to the floor, unable to utter a single sound for a long while. Messages from Zhang Yuan kept pouring in. Hey, man, it's all a misunderstanding. Li Wenwen was just talking nonsense. We've been good brothers for so many years. You don't actually believe that, do you? You really don't believe me? All right. Even if I made a mistake in a moment of poor judgment, we're best brothers. You weren't affected at all. Can you just say a word in my defense? The internet is tearing me apart right now. I have no expression on my face. Block all of Zhang Yuan's contact information directly. 7 Zhang Yuan and Li Wenwen's social media accounts were hacked within a single day. The comments section shifted from supporting Wenwen to calling her a scheming woman, an ungrateful wretch, and a fine actress putting on her own show. Zhang Yuan's situation was even worse. His exam rankings from the past 3 years were all exposed. Someone commented below. No wonder they resent Lin Chen, blaming others for being too strong when they're just not up to par themselves. Then someone started digging into the details. A long post has topped the trending topics with the poster claiming to be a classmate of mine from the next classroom. He posted over a dozen photos. My handwritten collection of mistakes, each page neatly written with clear, careful script. Beside every incorrect problem were notes in red ink explaining the reasoning, and offering tips on how to avoid similar pitfalls. The name Zhang Yuan is faintly visible in the corner of the photo. Someone added in the comments, Lin Chen always treated Zhang Yuan like a brother, sacrificing his own free time to help him compile a collection of mistakes, only to find that Zhang Yuan showed no gratitude at all. Someone also found an old help post on a local forum. It was posted by Zhang Yuan's mother during the time when his father was ill. The gist is thank you to Lin Chen's mom for cooking soup and bringing meals every day. It's been a huge help. Under that post, Zhang Yuan's mom even replied with a comment. Lin Chen is such a kind-hearted kid. Every day after school, he'd come to the hospital to deliver meals before heading home to do his homework. He was even more attentive than my own son. The fact that our family voluntarily covered the Zhang family's medical expenses was also dug up for all those years. I truly believe Zhang Yuan and I were as close as brothers. But what about Zhang Yuan? The whole affair was branded with labels like the farmer, and the viper, and Mr. Donghua, and the wolf, middle school classmates, elementary school classmates, even cram school classmates I'd never kept in touch with. They all came out of the woodwork. I always knew Lin Chen wasn't that kind of person. He's been a pushover ever since he was a kid. This is such a raw deal. When I saw these messages, I couldn't quite put my finger on what I was feeling. In my past life, these people all stayed silent, and many even joined in to criticize me, saying it was their misfortune to have me as a classmate. The tides have turned, and they've all become my longtime confidants. I didn't reply to anyone, just posted a single sentence on my personal account. I will protect my legal rights in accordance with the law. To all slanderers, see you in court. Zhang Yuan and Li Wanwan couldn't sit still anymore. They jointly released a video. In the video, both individuals have lost weight and have dark circles under their eyes, as if they're making one final struggle. Zhang Yuan faced the camera with a serious expression. Lin Shen might indeed not have cheated in the college entrance exam, but he emphasized the word but. He didn't cheat, but that doesn't mean he didn't manipulate the system. Let me ask you all a question. Why would the admissions teams from Tsinghua and Peking University go to the home of a student who turned in a blank paper and scored 0? Li Wanwan chimed in from the side, speaking rapidly. Exactly. I saw it with my own eyes right after the Gaokao ended, before the scores were even released. Admissions officers from Tsinghua and Peking University personally visited Lin Shen's home. They even brought him gifts. Why would top universities pay any attention to a student who scored 0? This is blatant backroom dealing. What else could it be but pulling strings? Zhang Yuan nodded. Why didn't he need to cheat? Because his family has connections. They can get him into Tsinghua or Peking University with a 0 score. No problem. Otherwise, why would those officials visit his house? Just think about it. People, does any of this sound right to you? After the video was posted, the court of public opinion erupted as if a depth charge had been dropped. Some people are still calling them desperate, but others are starting to hesitate. Wait, that actually makes sense. Yeah, why would the Tsinghua and Peking University admissions teams visit someone with a 0 score? I want to know. 2. Could it be that he had good grades before, and the admissions team didn't know he submitted a blank paper? How could they not know? The admissions team is always in the loop. They must have gotten the scores in advance. So, what's going on here? Can anyone explain it clearly? Doubts sprouted like weeds through the cracks. On trending again, the entry is quite ironic. Hashtag Lin Shen's mysterious background, hashtag Zhang Yuan. And Li Wanwan came knocking on my door once again. If you promise not to sue us now, we can let the matter of you getting into Tsinghua or Peking University through backdoor channel slide. I stared blankly at Zhang Yuan. What on earth did I do to you that you'd go to such lengths to ruin me? Zhang Yuan stared into my eyes, the corner of his mouth slowly, ever so slowly, curling into a smirk. You're asking what you did to me. His voice was quiet, but laced with venom. Your very existence is an offense to me. The same classroom, the same teacher, the same homework. So, how come you're always number 1? How come the teacher only praises you in class? How come when you explain a problem, the whole class thinks you're brilliant? Do you know what people call me? Lin Chen's friend. My name isn't Zhang Yuan. It's Lin Chen's friend. His voice began to tremble. My mom tells me every single day. Look at Lin Shen. My dad, lying in his hospital bed. His first words weren't to ask how my exams went. They were, that boy Lin Shen brought you his notes again. Didn't he? He took a step forward, jabbing a finger toward my chest. You're helping me, giving me your old test corrections, having your mom bring meals to my house, covering my medical bills. Do you have any idea how pathetic this makes me feel? Like some stray dog you're tossing scraps to. You stand up there throwing bones from your high horse, and I'm supposed to wag my tail in gratitude. He was gasping for breath. So, when I saw Li Wenwen's system, you have no idea how thrilled I was. Finally, there was something that could bring you down. You think you're perfect, always number 1. Well, I'm going to make sure everyone sees you for the plagiarizing fiend you are. You think I'm despicable? Have you ever considered that it's you who makes me look like a pathetic wretch? You left me no choice. The air hung still for a few seconds. I looked at him, and suddenly realized that after 3 years, I had never truly known this person. I let out a long sigh. You can leave now. I'm already consulting with a lawyer. We'll see each other in court. 8. Zhang Yuan and Li Wenwen whom I had driven away, completely lost their minds. They relentlessly attacked me online day and night. Many netizens were also incited by them, raising a chorus of doubts. Whether it's me, my alma mater, or the admissions team, we've all faced a great deal of skepticism. At the height of public outcry, Tsinghua University issued its announcement from the official Tsinghua admissions account. The title is Brief Explanation Regarding the Admission Status of Student Lin Shun. Student Lin Shun participated in the National High School Geography Competition Finals during his second year of high school and won a gold medal. In accordance with our school's early admission guidelines for recommended students, he completed the admission procedures in December of last year. His National College entrance examination results do not affect the admission outcome. Regardless of his exam scores, the fact that he has already been admitted remains unchanged. Regarding the home visits by our admissions team, this is part of our standard procedure to provide pre-enrollment care and communication for admitted students, understand the practical challenges, and is not a so-called student poaching effort targeting those who have not been admitted. There is no form of under-the-table dealings or special treatment involved. At the end of the announcement, a line of text was emphasized in bold. Tsinghua University consistently upholds the principles of fairness, impartiality, and transparency in its admissions process, and resolutely safeguards the legitimate rights and interests of every student. Regarding the recent false statements targeting our admitted student Lin Shun, the university reserves the right to pursue legal action. Netizens were stunned. The truth has finally come to light. Yes, I had already secured admission to Tsinghua and Peking University last year. The only reason I'm taking the college entrance exam this year is entirely due to Principal Fang's earnest insistence. He hopes I can take the college entrance exam, achieve excellent results, and contribute to the school's admissions efforts next year. I didn't think much, and just nodded in agreement. After all, it was just a few more practice tests, and it couldn't hurt me. But I never imagined that these few exam papers would plunge my entire family into an abyss from which there was no return. The phone was slightly warm in my hand, and sunlight seeped through the cracks in the curtains. It suddenly came to me. This time in my past life, I am dead. I am lying on that 6-lane expressway, blood flowing from my body, spreading into a dark red puddle on the asphalt that faint white at the horizon. Until my dying day, I never knew if it was city lights or the first light of dawn. Within an hour of the announcement, public opinion completely shifted. So, they were already guaranteed admission. Taking the college entrance exam was just a formality then. Didn't Li Wanwan claim Lin Shun copied her exam? A student guaranteed admission to Tsinghua University, copying from someone who might not even make the minimum score for a first-tier university. That logic is laughable. Thank goodness, he handed in a blank paper. Otherwise, if Li Wanwan really used that so-called system, things would have gotten really hard to explain. Principal Fang was also interviewed. I was the one who went to find Lin Shun. I was the one who asked him to take the college entrance exam. I was thinking, our school hasn't produced a top scorer in years. His grades are so outstanding. He could easily rank in the top 10 of the province, even without preparation. If he could become the top scorer, it would be a tremendous help for next year's student recruitment. He was reluctant at first, but I pleaded with him repeatedly, and only then did he agree. The reporter asked, "Did you know he later handed in a blank exam paper?" Principal Fang fell silent for a long time. I found out right after the exams ended. I confronted him about it. He told me, with great difficulty, that he had no other choice. Looking back now, it was probably because he had guessed that Li Wanwan was going to harm him. The lawsuit proceeded far more smoothly than anticipated. Zhang Yuan was expelled from the university due to the extensive reach and severe societal impact of his defamation. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, despite his defense lawyer repeatedly emphasizing in court that he was young, acted in a moment of poor judgment, and was misled by others. The judge was not persuaded. On the day of the sentencing, Zhang Yuan stood in the defendant's dock, his face ashen, and his lips trembling uncontrollably when he saw me. His eyes reddened for a moment as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, no words came out. Watching him from the gallery, I felt no sense of triumph. I just remember that time in our first year of high school when we played basketball together for the first time. He passed me the ball. I sink a three-pointer. And he ran over to give me a high five. I don't know when it started, but his sincerity slowly corroded bit by bit until it became what it is now. Li Wanwan was sentenced to 1.5 years in prison, suspended for 2 years for defamation, and to 3 years in prison for cheating on the college entrance exam. The unknown system was ultimately handed over to the cybersecurity department by the court. Lawyer Chin told me it took technicians 2 whole weeks to decompile the system's code. Even now, no one fully understands how it works, and its origin remains a complete mystery. However, it did disrupt a national-level examination and violated multiple laws. The final outcome was seizure, erasure, and permanent archiving. All logs on the server were destroyed, and the system panel was forcibly uninstalled. Reportedly, during the uninstall, a line of garbled code flashed on the screen before it went completely dark, and could never be accessed again. Lawyer Chin relayed a rather interesting remark from the technical staff. They said that line of garbled code looked like some kind of evacuation signal. It was as if the system itself was a dispatch tool of some sort, automatically recalled upon mission failure. I listened in silence. Some things, perhaps, are simply not meant to be understood. In early September, I boarded the train to Beijing. This time, I wasn't alone. My parents sat across from me. My mother was wearing her favorite floral dress, with her hair freshly permed, and a pair of pearl earrings adorning her ears. She kept fussing the whole way, worrying about whether Beijing's air was too dry, whether the dorm beds would be too hard, and whether she'd be able to get used to the cafeteria food. Her eyes sparkled as she spoke, and her smile kept curling upward, impossible to suppress. My father sat by the window, his head tilted as he gazed at the scenery outside as the train passed by a field of wheat. He suddenly turned to me and said something that made my nose sting with emotion. Shin, the thing I'm proudest of in my life is having a son like you. At 2:45 p.m., we arrived at Beijing West Railway Station. I stepped off the train, pulling my suitcase, and felt the solid, heavy reality of the concrete platform beneath my feet. In my past life, my journey ended in the middle of the road to die a wretched and agonizing death. This is where my journey begins. Someone is holding a sign for Tsinghua University at the exit, waiting to meet arrivals. A senior girl wearing glasses saw me, glanced down to check the list in her hand, then looked up and smiled at me. Lin Chun, welcome to Tsinghua. Ismail Daher picked up the suitcase. Following the direction she pointed, I walked toward that dazzling patch of sunlight. Story 2. My sister, whose face was covered in acne scars, came across an online treatment program. It promised to transform her into a radiant beauty within a month. I discovered the program was run by an unlicensed company with alarming hygiene standards. After persistent efforts to dissuade her, my sister finally gave up on the idea. A month later, every girl who underwent the treatment emerged with skin as smooth as polished jade. The treatment camp promptly announced its closure. My sister flew into a rage, consumed by bitter resentment toward me. She was convinced I had sabotaged her path to beauty. She pressed the towel against her face, soaking it with pus to smother me in my sleep. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my sister was to leave for the treatment camp. As I came to, the nauseating stench of blood and decay still lingered in my nostrils. Loretta was standing in front of the mirror, squeezing her giant pimples. Suddenly, she let out a shriek while looking at her phone. Mom, look, I just found this treatment camp online that specializes in curing acne. They claim it can make my face as smooth as an egg within a month. My mom pulled out some spicy strips and a cola from the cabinet and handed them to Loretta. Your skin looks so smooth already. What a lovely young lady. Acne is just proof of youth. If you don't get breakouts, it means you're getting old. She said this while glancing in my direction. Loretta screamed with her hands over her face. Are you blind? My skin is anything but smooth. I'm in my 20s already, still going through puberty. She stuffed spicy strips into her mouth while venting her grievances about my mom. It's my mom's permissiveness that's caused her face to break out. Like this. She can't even find a boyfriend. Right in the middle of her forehead, there's a huge, angry pimple. It's turned dark, And purple. My mom took her to see a doctor given its massive size. There wasn't much that could be done. We just had to wait for the pus to drain on its own. Loretta would squeeze it at home every day. After years of squeezing, the stubborn pimple still wouldn't clear up. They kept growing bigger, nearly covering the entire forehead. The treatment program costs $20,000, guaranteed to eliminate all acne. Specializing in tough cases like Loretta's complex acne, the hospital can treat acne for free. If it's not cleared within a month, you'll get a full refund. Loretta was begging to go to the treatment camp, coaxing my mom with sweet talk and cute antics. My mom hesitated and looked up at me. "Serena, what do you think?" I snapped back to reality. My mother had asked me the exact same question in my previous life. I looked up the treatment camp Loretta mentioned. Online, we discovered there were no compliant medical devices inside. They didn't even have proper medical credentials, just a completely unlicensed operation. There was also a notice stating they would only be open for 2 months. Once treatment was successful, they would stop accepting new patients. I could tell at a glance it was just some scam company. Besides, Loretta's acne was the stubborn kind that even hospitals couldn't treat. How could a company with no medical credentials provide any real treatment? I showed them both the search results, tell them to skip this treatment camp, and find a proper hospital for conservative treatment. Loretta agreed unexpectedly. A month later, the treatment camp released comparison videos. In just a short time, all the girls with stubborn acne problems had transformed into stunning beauties with flawless porcelain skin. Not a single blemish remained on the face in the sunlight. Her skin glowed with a jade-like radiance, almost too dazzling to behold. Treatment service commenced operations while simultaneously announcing its closure. Moreover, these women received marriage proposals from wealthy families, one after another, instantly ascending to become society matrons. Loretta flew into a rage on the spot, harboring a deep-seated hatred for me. She believed I had blocked her path to beauty and a wealthy marriage. In a fit of anger, she slashed the giant boil on her forehead with a knife. She soaked the towel completely with the thick pus, slipped into my room while I was asleep, and smothered me to death. "Serena, since you never get acne, let's give you a real taste of what breakouts feel like." When my parents found out, they didn't blame Loretta, and even helped cover up for her, claimed I slipped in the bathtub and drowned because I lost my footing. They wept, clutching my ashes. "Serena, we've already lost one daughter. We can't lose another. Your sister's just a teenager who doesn't know any better. Don't blame her. If you want to blame anyone, blame yourself for not letting her go to the treatment camp." 2. I collected my thoughts and put on a smile. "It's good that your sister wants to get treatment." My mother furrowed her brow and spoke again. "Do you think this treatment camp is really okay?" She deliberately emphasized the words "no problem." I widened my eyes and looked at my mother with curiosity. What could possibly be the issue? If they dare to make such claims, it means they truly have the capability. If you think there's an issue, just tell your sister directly. My mom gave an awkward chuckle. "What do I know about these things? You're the most educated person in this house. Who else would I ask?" The room fell silent, and my mother's expression shifted instantly. She bit her lip uneasily. Loretta snatched the cola from the table and smashed it on the floor, clutching her head and screaming. "What are you implying? You look down on me, don't you? Just because she's well-read and knowledgeable, we have to obey her every word. Is that it?" When Loretta has one of her fits, the boil on her forehead starts oozing pus. I took a few quiet steps back to avoid getting any on me. My mother stood there frozen like a quail while Loretta berated her. Her face was smeared with pus. The phrase "well-read" is taboo in our household. In high school, Loretta used her skin abscess as an excuse to drop out. She claimed the acne and boils on her face would ruin her image with the boys. Her college entrance exam score didn't even break triple digits. I'm just lying around at home waiting to die. She blames that good-for-nothing for everything, saying he's drained her mentally. Without that deadbeat, she'd be a millionaire even without an education. Loretta went back to her room in tears. My mother shot me a disapproving glare. "Why do you keep provoking your sister every single day? She's already miserable with that abscess, and you're flaunting your book smarts. Tell your sister the same thing during dinner." Don't go to that so-called therapy camp. It looks completely unprofessional. Seriously, trying to use me as a pawn again. My mom never says things directly. She always uses me as a messenger. The moment Loretta gets angry, she steps in to play the good cop, making my sister direct all her resentment toward me. I'm the meddlesome, annoying older sister, and she remains the considerate, kind-hearted mother of 3. During lunch, Loretta brought up going to the treatment camp again. I've already shown the photos to the person in charge. They said my acne is a piece of cake. No big deal for them at all. Registration is closing any minute now. Hurry up and give me the money. My dad played dead while my mom was frantically winking at me. I tilted my head. Mom, are your eyes bothering you? Why do you keep blinking at me? By the way, Loretta just said the registration is about to close. Did you guys hear that? My mom shot me a sharp glare. I heard you, but I think we should proceed with caution. Loretta, it's not that Mom is being stingy with money. It's just that your sister is more reliable. It would be better to ask for her opinion. I shrugged. Mom, didn't I tell you before dinner? No one would dare make that kind of guarantee unless they had real skills. Besides, it won't hurt to give it a try. They'll refund the money if the swelling doesn't go down within a month anyway. Loretta raised an eyebrow and looked at my mother. Serena has made it clear. What more could you possibly complain about? She pointed at the window. If you don't transfer the $20,000 to me by the end of today, I'll jump from here. My mother spoke to her gently, offering a few words of comfort. She told her to take a nap first and discuss it later. My mother seized the moment to pull me into the room and gave my arm a sharp twist. Serena, what on earth are you trying to do? I was about to say something when I caught sight of a dark forehead peeking from outside the door. Loretta was hiding outside. I shifted the subject and said with a hurt tone, Mom, why are you pinching me? Loretta's abscess could affect her health. It wouldn't hurt to let her give it a try. Why won't you let her go anyway? My mother took a deep breath and said impatiently, if even the hospitals say it's incurable, how could some therapy camp possibly fix it? You say there's nothing to lose, but isn't 20,000 yuan real money? How do you know they won't just take the money and run? Can you really take responsibility for losing 20,000 yuan? I lowered my head and tugged at the hem of my shirt. I wouldn't mind paying, Mom, but I've spent my last few months' salaries on the latest iPhones for you. And Dad, just sell them to cover Loretta's tuition. Consider it my contribution. Loretta kicked the door open, gnashing my teeth in fury. I pointed a trembling finger at my mother. Fine. So, it's you who's too stingy to spend the money. You want this disgusting boil to stay on my head forever. Is that it? Fine. I'll go die then. That's what you all want, isn't it? She stamped her foot, turned around, and dashed into her room, locking the door behind her. I feigned panic and covered my mouth. Oh, no, Mom. My sister says she's going to jump off the building. My mom panicked and rushed to knock on the door. Loretta was screaming from inside. Pay up, or I'll jump. If anyone tries to force their way in, anyone barging in would only see her falling figure. My mother was terrified. Loretta was making such a commotion that a crowd of onlookers quickly gathered downstairs. We live on the 4th floor, and every word could be clearly heard from below. The neighbors downstairs all urged Loretta not to act rashly. Loretta let out piercing screams and wails. Uncle, Aunt, please help me get justice. She pointed at her black and pustule. I've had this cyst for years, and now that someone can finally treat it, my mom won't let me get treatment. Isn't that just driving me to my death? Loretta gave a highly embellished account of what happened. The neighbors downstairs visibly paled. They clicked their tongues disapprovingly at my mother. You're definitely in the wrong here. This is no small matter when it comes to a child. Seriously, she's ignoring such a huge swelling. That mother is way too nonchalant. Won't even spend 20,000 now. Wait till it gets infected. You'll be forking out hundreds of thousands later. Exactly. And the girl's already in her 20s. With this condition, no one will want to marry her. Hearing this, Loretta burst into even louder sobs. She deliberately stretched her foot out, clinging to the windowsill as she teetered precariously. My mother's face flushed, and pale by turns, rendered speechless by the confrontation. She tried to explain herself, but stood no chance against the chorus of elderly neighbors. We could see someone downstairs was about to call the police. My mom quickly transferred the money to Loretta, for my mom was so upset. She skipped dinner that night. Loretta couldn't have cared less. She was already happily browsing for cosmetics online. She'd been wanting to doll herself up like a fairy for a date with some handsome guy. The next day, we went to sign up for the therapy camp. My mom warned me to keep an eye out for any shady business. I readily agreed. I'll be sure to keep a close eye on things. Staff at the treatment camp entrance all wore white lab coats and gold-rimmed glasses. Every single one was a handsome guy. For words popped into my head, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Loretta was practically drooling. The manager's eyes lit up when he saw the pustule on Loretta's forehead. He ushered Loretta inside as if she were a prized treasure. "So, you're Loretta, right? Come fill out this form. Let me tell you, that swelling on your face is nothing serious. I've seen plenty of patients, and someone like you. Once that abscess clears up, you'll be a real stunner." Loretta grabbed the registration form and started filling it out right away. Not only do we have to fill in the basic information, but also our birth details and blood type. My mother held Loretta's hand and then looked at me. "Serena, is it really appropriate to fill in these things? Tell me, should we really be providing our birth details?" I shrugged. "Beats me." My mom asked Loretta to hold on while she made a quick call to check. The moment she let go, Loretta filled out the form in no time. She also completed the confidentiality and refund agreements all at once. The person in charge breathed a sigh of relief. They praised Loretta highly. "You're clearly a young woman with remarkable talent, not a mama's girl at all. With your natural beauty and flawless skin, who wouldn't fall for you?" The manager glanced at me. "This is your sister, right? I'll be honest with you, but don't take offense. If your sister got rid of all that stuff on her face, she'd be several times prettier than you. Let me tell you, every beautiful woman who leaves our program ends up marrying into wealth. Even Doraba would pale in comparison to you." Loretta was so flattered she was walking on air. If she had a tail, it would have been wagging like a propeller. The ability to lie through one's teeth has truly been perfected here. Hearing that, my mom decided not to make the phone call after all. The two of them began to fantasize about their future life among the wealthy elite. 5. After paying the tuition, a few handsome guys came over to give Loretta a thorough checkup. Loretta's face flushed, and she pouted cutely. "Be gentle, doctor. My forehead hurts." Loretta's forehead hurts. "Blow on it for me. Big brother. The pain will go away if you blow on it. Promise you'll be this gentle when you treat me." 2. "Okay. I'm just glad I hadn't eaten yet, or I would have thrown up everything." At noon, my mom cooked a whole table full of dishes that Loretta loves. I also bought 2 bottles of wine to celebrate the future lady of the manor. This afternoon, Loretta will be heading to the treatment center to begin her month-long therapy. When we arrived at the treatment center, those handsome doctors in white coats were already waiting at the entrance. They immediately took Loretta to the examination room. They said they were going to do a full body checkup. When she came out, Loretta's face was flushed crimson. She whispered in my ear, "Eat your heart out, Serena. This is something you'll never get to experience." "You fool." I noticed there was a small opening on the pus-filled bump on her forehead. The person in charge explained that they needed to extract a tube of pus for testing first. Loretta shot me a disdainful look. How ignorant. Don't say hey. But after they drew out a tube, I did notice the swelling on my forehead went down a bit. "Bro, you guys are absolutely amazing." The person in charge smiled and had Loretta register an account. It was the international social media platform Instagram. He mentioned that their treatment includes dietary therapy. That's why patients like Loretta need to post pictures on the platform every day. This includes photos of their 3 daily meals and updates on their treatment progress. The manager said the main purpose of this is to expand into overseas markets. I gave a perfunctory nod. Something felt off, and there were holes in her story. But what does that have to do with me anyway? I'd love to see Loretta get what's coming to her. I discreetly jotted down Loretta's account details. As soon as I got home in the evening, I immediately used a VPN to log into Instagram. Loretta's profile picture was of herself, and that glaring pimple was still just as eye-catching. There was only one post inside. It was probably a script provided by the person in charge, filled with all sorts of unnecessary fluff. I've made up my mind to start treating this abscess today. Barely any engagement. Just one account liked it, clicked through, and saw it was the supervisor's account. The profile picture showed a group of masked doctors in lab coats. About us. We specialize in addressing your needs with professional expertise. This introduction seems rather unusual. There's no mention whatsoever of their medical capabilities. This account recently followed several people using the same caption style as Loretta. These must all be patients from this batch. Loretta updated her Instagram in the evening. It was a video. A workout video. Keep pushing through the workout to sweat out the toxins. Then she posted another dinner photo. It's all boiled vegetables without a hint of oil. Just looking at it kills my appetite. She captioned it. Too much pus means too much meat. Going vegetarian starting today. Keep going. I'll be the next beauty queen. Loretta even brought her own spicy stirps and various prepackaged snacks today. The supervisor threw them all in the trash. She said the acne on her face was caused by eating all that junk food. With Loretta gone from the house, my mother wiped away tears of sorrow. Oh, my daughter. My dear daughter. Worried about whether she'd have enough to eat and warm clothes to wear there. I scoffed and lowered my head, feeling completely numb inside. I had no idea what methods the treatment camp was using. Loretta's abscess began to visibly shrink. A week later, I opened the app again. Loretta's abscess had shrunk by half. 6. My mom held up her phone and video called Loretta. She was grinning from ear to ear. Oh, my dear Loretta. I knew you could do it. Just look at how beautiful this is. But seeing how thin Loretta had become, my heart ached for her. Loretta, you're much too thin. You really should eat some meat. If the supervisor won't allow it, just eat it quietly. It breaks my heart to see you like this. Loretta yelled furiously. Are you insane? My infection is draining precisely because I'm not eating meat. What kind of twisted motive makes you suggest I eat meat now? Keep talking like that, and you're getting blocked. My mother fell silent, wiping away tears of hurt. After hanging up, she turned to accuse me of not speaking up for her. I couldn't be bothered to engage, and just walked back to my room. Over time, Loretta's account gradually gained more popularity. Some comments accused Loretta of faking it. Others claimed it was all scripted. Furious, Loretta made a video to prove her skin abscess was real. More people started to believe it. People were asking in the comments how she got cured. Loretta then tagged the person in charge, saying this was her treating doctor, and to contact him with any questions. A week later, I clicked on Loretta's account again. I was so startled I nearly threw my phone. Is this even Loretta? The pustule on her forehead had almost vanished, leaving only faint bruises as evidence it was ever there. Loretta's confidence was palpable. Even my follower count has gone up quite a bit under each post. A few familiar faces always left encouraging comments for her. Some even expressed their intention to pursue Loretta. I clicked on the person's profile. It was a handsome Western guy. Her Instagram posts are either from a private pool or a yacht. Out of all those comments, Loretta only replied to this one. Thanks for your support and affection, but I'm in China. Seems fate hasn't quite brought us together. That person never replied to her. In just half a month, such an astonishing transformation has taken place. My mother subtly probed her about the treatment method. Loretta gave a mysterious smile. That's a secret. What on earth have the people at the treatment camp been doing these past 2 weeks? I have a growing suspicion that this is all part of some massive conspiracy. 10 days later, Loretta reached out to my mom on her own initiative. In the video call, there wasn't a single trace of those pustules left on her face. Smooth as a baby's bottom. Only a few marks remained on the forehead. My mom was so she burst into tears. I always knew my daughter would make it. My girl is absolutely incredible. Loretta raised an eyebrow with a smug look. Told my mom to buy all the designer cosmetics she wanted. She's determined to make her beauty queen title known with a bang. She'll be back in 5 days. She shot me a contemptuous glance. Serena, you're just jealous. Don't think going to college makes you special. My mother chimed in from the side. Exactly. Loretta is destined to marry into a wealthy family. We'll all be counting on her someday. You better watch that attitude. Make your sister angry again, and you'll regret it. 7. I opened Instagram. Loretta's latest post was a selfie. Announced to fans that the treatment has been completed. We'll start sharing daily life updates going forward. Some people in the comments are questioning its authenticity. This is so fake. Clearly photoshopped. Anyone who believes this needs to get their head examined. What the hell do you know? I follow the whole thing from start to finish. This is definitely the real deal. If you think it's photoshopped, why don't you time travel back and touch her festering wounds yourself? Don't believe it? Then piss off. Who's forcing you to watch? 5 days later, Loretta officially concluded her treatment and returned home, just like the girl in the video from my past life. Her skin was so delicate it seemed you could break it by blowing on it. Smooth and flawless like fine jade. In the sunlight, it was so fair it practically glowed. Not only had all the acne vanished, but even the pores seemed to disappear. Wait, pores? A cold sweat broke out as I leaned in for a closer look. The pores were still there, just incredibly fine. Loretta's skin had the flawless perfection of a porcelain doll. Just like in my past life, the treatment camp announced it was shutting down. Those who had been on the fence were now crying foul. Watching Loretta skip around sent a chill down my spine. Her steps were so light, she seemed to barely touch the ground. At noon, my mom prepared a whole table of Loretta's favorite dishes as usual. It was all rich, meat-heavy fare. Loretta was so furious, she wanted to flip the table. But after struggling for a while, the table didn't budge an inch. She slammed the table and yelled, "I told you I don't eat meat. No meat at all. Just boiled vegetables. Take it away! Take it away!" My mom wasn't ready to give up and still wanted to persuade me. "Loretta, these are all your favorites. Now that the treatment's over, it's fine to have a little." Loretta went berserk, tearing at her hair and screaming hysterically, "No, no, no. If you keep forcing me like this, I'll run away from home." With a sigh, my mom cleared the table of all the delicious dishes and made plain boiled vegetables instead. To marry into a wealthy family, you need more than just a pretty face. You gotta keep your figure. 2. Would you stop causing trouble for me? Loretta was all set to become a wealthy socialite. She shot me a look of disgust. Good for nothing. All you do is eat. Ugly. And still eating like there's no tomorrow. With an attitude like that, you'll never get married. She stood up only to bang her leg against the table. It didn't even take much force, but her thigh ended up with a gash. Blood was gushing out. It gave my mom such a fright that she yelled for my dad to bring the first aid kit. But strangely enough, it was just a small cut. The bleeding just wouldn't stop. My mother insisted on taking Loretta to the hospital, but Loretta pulled a bottle of medicinal powder from her pocket and handed it to my mother of 8. She said the supervisor had given them the powder. They said this was perfectly normal. It'll clear up in a few months. My mother applied the powder with some skepticism, and sure enough, the bleeding stopped within minutes. After Loretta returned, she made plans every day to hang out with her old classmates. She just wanted to show them how beautiful she had become. But every time she came back, she'd be covered in bruises and cuts. She always said she just bumped into things while she was out. At first, Loretta still had the energy to tend to her wounds with medicinal powder. Eventually, I got tired of the hassle and just started swallowing handfuls of the pills with warm water whenever I got hurt. Surprisingly enough, taking them internally worked even better than using them externally. One night, there was a class reunion, and Loretta didn't come back the entire evening. When she returned the next day, there were suggestive pink marks on her neck. My mother was visibly upset. "What kind of decent young lady stays out all night? And what are those marks on your neck? Explain yourself." Loretta smoothed her hair and flashed a charming smile. "Mom, guess who I slept with? That rich kid from our class back in the day. He confessed his feelings to me yesterday and said he wants to marry me." My mom laughed, her wrinkles deep enough to trap flies. "Oh my, our Loretta is something else. Our family's success hinges entirely on my precious daughter, unlike your useless sister." Then she immediately stormed into my room to yell at me, a true master of emotional whiplash. "What kind of example are you setting as an older sister? Staying out all night? What kind of behavior is that? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They even said I'm always so selfish, only ever thinking about myself." I gave a faint smile. "Mom, you've got it wrong. You're the one who gave birth to Loretta. So, if the beam's crooked, it started with you. Mom was so furious she choked up, unable to get a word out for the longest time with no other outlet for her anger. She went looking for Dad to take it out on him. Dad usually plays dead, but the moment an argument starts, he's suddenly full of energy. The two nearly came to blows. Things only calmed down when Loretta yelled at them not to interrupt her phone call with her brother 9. Loretta's relationship with that rich heir progressed rapidly. Within days, she moved out to live with the wealthy heir. She kept posting on social media to flaunt their relationship, boasting about the luxury goods he bought for her. They seemed utterly blissful. Someone kindly warned her in the comments that this rich second-generation heir is notorious for being a player. They told her to be careful. She tore into that person with a string of abuse. You're just a jealous broke loser. Aren't you? Mad that I have my darling looking out for me. Stirring up drama between people is such a trashy move. Loretta's social media posts are becoming less and less frequent. Eventually, she stopped showing off and started posting angsty teenage poetry. I'll always remember how it felt when you loved me. Does love really fade this easily? But before 2 weeks had even passed, things went wrong. Loretta ended up in the hospital after being beaten. When we rushed to the hospital, Loretta was covered in blood from head to toe. She looked like she'd been drenched in it. Dozens of powder medicine packets were scattered nearby. Looks like they went through quite a bit of medication trying to stop the bleeding. Just as her classmates said, rich kids are only in it for the thrill. Within a week, Loretta started finding unfamiliar strands of hair and traces of perfume around the house. There were even unfamiliar undergarments. She suspected the rich kid had brought someone home, so she hid in the wardrobe only to witness the two getting hot and heavy. Loretta couldn't take it. She burst out of the wardrobe screaming and started pummeling the woman. But there were 2 of them. What chance did Loretta really have? Ended up being rushed to the hospital. The rich kid never even showed his face, just sent that my mother was heartbroken, holding Loretta and sobbing uncontrollably. She snatched the card and immediately kicked the lawyer out. Oh, Loretta, even if love is gone, you can't lose your money. 2. That trust fund kid is a complete jerk. You deserve so much better. 10. After returning home, Loretta spent her days drowning in tears. I keep hoping that rich kid will have a change of heart someday. All she does every day is either cry or pick fights with my mom. I blame my mom for taking that money. It completely severed my connection with the wealthy heir. Are you really that greedy? Did you have to take the money? If it weren't for you, my brother would never be this heartless. I can't believe my mother is such a piece of work. Before she could finish speaking, a heavy slap landed across Loretta's face. Loretta froze in shock. This was the first time in over 20 years that my mom had laid a hand on Loretta. But before she could even get angry, blood started gushing from her nose. And not just that, even her thick skin began to ooze blood. My mom was terrified and immediately grabbed her phone to call an ambulance. I barely touched it. How could there be so much blood? She then turned and snapped at me to come help. In the end, Loretta still didn't go to the hospital. She took 15 packets of medicinal powder in a row before the bleeding finally stopped. My mother told me to help Loretta back to her room. The moment I touched her arm, a cold sweat broke out all over me. Could this really be a human arm? It was so slippery I could barely hold on. Her skin felt soft and cool, like grasping a slippery jelly. My gaze fell upon her arm. Loretta shot me a glance. What are you staring at? Never seen a beautiful woman before. Before I could get a better look, she pushed me out of the room. Even so, I still managed to see it clearly. The pores on Loretta's arm seemed to have vanished. It was small before, but now it's completely gone. I rubbed my chilled arms, not daring to dwell on it. As time went on, Loretta's condition became increasingly morbid. She only ate a fist-sized portion of vegetables each day, and even that was mixed with powdered medication. Soon enough, the medicinal powder ran out. Loretta was pacing anxiously, but thankfully she could still get through to the person in charge. He said she could come to him for more when she ran out. She could take as much as she needed at once, free of charge. Loretta breathed a sigh of relief. The next day, Loretta returned carrying a box of medicinal powder. Not only that, but there were also some specially prepared foods inside. She probably showed it off to us. She mentioned that the supervisor had specially prepared this food for them. They could start eating it after waiting 1 week. She said this food would not only enhance her beauty, but also cure her ailments. The supervisor was still encouraging them. You must maintain your beauty. Your soulmate will appear very soon, but you must strictly follow his requirements. Not a trace of meat is allowed. A week later, Loretta started eating those specially prepared meals. For some unknown reason, a faint, elusive fragrance began to emanate from Loretta. Or perhaps it was just my imagination. Loretta's skin started taking on a slightly translucent quality. I once studied her skin closely while she was asleep. It gave me nightmares all night long. The veins beneath her skin seemed to have vanished. That sensation is something I never want to experience again. Clammy and cold. It left indentations at the slightest touch, like discarded chewing gum on pavement. Yet, Loretta remained completely oblivious to her own odd behavior. She never missed a day relentlessly mocking me. Serena, I'm about to marry into wealth. If you get on your knees and beg, I might let you be my guard dog. 11 soon. That love-struck smile returned to Loretta's face. As expected, Loretta had fallen in love. She posted screenshots of their conversations on her social media. The guy was a foreigner who spoke Chinese, someone she'd met on Instagram. He praised her every day, saying Loretta was the most exquisite jewel he'd ever laid eyes on. I was startled. That profile picture looked so familiar. I logged into Instagram and opened Loretta's pinned post. Sure enough, it was that foreign trust fund kid who commented on her post before. I checked on a few other girls from the treatment camp. Turns out they've all been in relationships, too, and every one of them was with a handsome foreign guy. Loretta took a sip of her powdered medicine and chuckled softly. Serena, can you even imagine how loaded my boyfriend is? Of course you can't. You're practically broke. My boyfriend owns 10 castles across Europe. His family were medieval nobles, and that lineage carries straight through to him. My mom's first thought was that there would be too many rules. Loretta, won't you have to follow tons of rules after marrying into their family? Loretta frowned. What do you know? My boyfriend loves me dearly. He said I won't have to follow any of those rules. He's a modern man and can't stand those outdated traditions either. My mom was finally at ease. 3 days later, Loretta was spinning around the house with her phone. Her voice was brimming with excitement. Mom, Dad, we're about to live the good life. My boyfriend is flying to China to see me the day after tomorrow. If all goes well, we might even get engaged right then. And there, my parents are absolutely thrilled. They feel like this is a match made in heaven. They can't believe he's willing to travel all the way from Europe just for Loretta. 2 days later, Loretta brought her boyfriend home. Her every gesture exuded aristocratic grace. You could say her mere presence was a sight to behold. He introduced himself as Laurent. He specifically studied Chinese customs for meeting future in-laws. He brought plenty of gifts, including a case of mitai for my father. He kept calling them Mom and Dad, and completely won my parents over. I wish we could summon the marriage registry right here. Right now. At the dinner table, the two of them were all lovey-dovey. Laurent didn't eat a single bite. And of course, Loretta didn't eat either, only consuming her medicinal powders and specially prepared meals. After dinner, they sat on the sofa discussing their post-wedding plans. My mother could hardly believe it. Had her daughter really married into an affluent family, and to European nobility, no less? Laurent smiled in agreement, and even offered to bring our whole family to Europe. We could choose any of their houses in Europe, and stay as long as we wanted. We wouldn't have to follow any rules there. Just live however we pleased. Loretta seemed hesitant. Brother, what if I can't adjust to living abroad? And this powder, it's the only thing that stops my bleeding. Laurent chuckled softly, brushing his thumb over Loretta's lips. Don't worry, Loretta. We have all kinds of ancient remedies back home. If you're worried, we can just come back once a month. At that, Loretta was completely reassured, but I got goosebumps all over. Not from disgust, but from fear. Laurent's gaze was unmistakably that of someone eyeing a delicious meal. Suddenly, Laurent turned his attention to me. I quickly averted my gaze, pretending to be absorbed in the television. Serena, if you'd like, you could move to Europe and settle down with Loretta. I hadn't even said anything yet. Loretta was the first to object. Brother, I told you my sister is such a pain. I don't want her tagging along with us. She should stay back home and suffer. What gives someone like her the right to tag along and enjoy the good life with us? I quickly chimed in to agree with her. Thank you for your kindness, but I have no plans to move abroad. I got up and went back to my room. I could feel a chilling gaze fixed on my back the entire time. I leaned against the door, gasping for air. Laurent is dangerous. Extremely dangerous. Stay away at all costs. 13 sounds came from Loretta's room in the middle of the night. Loretta seemed to be losing control, begging Laurent to touch her. Laurent let out a cold, emotionless laugh. Loretta, it's our family tradition. I can't lay a finger on you before we're married. I'm sorry you have to go through this. My darling. Boo-hoo. You're so mean. How about I use my hands to help you out instead? Laurent still refused. When I came out of the bathroom, there was someone standing in the living room. It was Laurent, standing as still as a statue. My scalp crawled, and I prepared to slip back into my room. I didn't expect him to appear right behind me. His breath gently brushed against the top of my head. Serena, are you afraid of me? Why do you seem so nervous when you see me? A cold sweat trickled down my back. I knew I couldn't show even a hint of fear right now. I swallowed my dry throat and spoke rapidly. Are all foreigners this open-minded? In our culture, sisters are expected to maintain a certain distance from their brothers-in-law, let alone someone's annoying boyfriend. Before he could respond, I dashed into the room without looking back. Just before closing the door, I saw Laurent still standing right where I'd left him. His expression was veiled in shadow, yet I was absolutely certain he was staring at me with a smile. It was the kind of smile a predator gives its prey. Fortunately, Laurent didn't stay long, only stayed for a week. Loretta would pester Laurent to go shopping with her during the day. At night, she'd lock Laurent in the room. She was guarding him like a hawk, probably afraid I'd steal him away. I've only seen Laurent a handful of times this week, and every single time he'd casually bring up the idea of me joining their Europe trip. Not to move there, just as a vacation. They'd cover all expenses, anywhere in the world. But I'm not tempted at all. There's no such thing as a free lunch. 14 soon. They finalized their departure date. The three of them left together. I only packed the essentials in my passport. Laurent said he'd take care of the rest, and that I didn't need to bring any clothes or daily necessities. We'll just buy new ones in Europe. Watching the taxi disappear into the distance, I let out a heavy sigh of relief. A weight has been lifted off my mind. At least I'm safe back home. Then again, maybe not. Those rehabilitation camp people are still operating here. I packed my bags and left town overnight, applied for company housing at the new job. At first, my social media feed was flooded with a few people showing off. They not only got the royal treatment, but also toured around various European countries. Later on, those posts became fewer and fewer. Eventually, all three of them stopped posting. I didn't really care either. If anyone asked, I'd just say they had settled abroad long ago. A few months later, my mom called me in the middle of the night, one after another, a dozen in a row. I pretended not to see it and went back to sleep. A call at this hour never brings good news. I returned the call during the day. Sure enough, Laurent picked up. He said my mom and Loretta had a blast hanging out yesterday. Probably wanted me to join in on the fun. 2. Miss Serena, would you like to come visit Europe for a trip? I can book your ticket right now. You won't need to do anything. I quickly declined and hung up the phone after that. I never received another call from any of them again, probably to avoid raising suspicion. The three of them often post on social media at the same time, but I could tell at a glance that it wasn't actually posted by them. Whatever. It's none of my business. A year later, the treatment camp ran into trouble. They pulled the same old trick in another city, luring girls with acne to seek treatment. The police had been keeping an eye on that gang for a while. They sent an undercover agent in and busted the whole operation in one fell swoop. Those girls had been implanted with an ancient type of parasite. These parasites feed on purulent toxins. However, they also use the host's body as their nesting ground. Over time, the body becomes riddled with cavities of varying sizes. Those powders were meant to relieve the symptoms, But I never understood what this had to do with those European nobles until one day. The police rescued a group of Chinese citizens who had been deceived into going abroad. The police contacted me. My mother was among them. Her body was covered in deep gashes. The police told me they were carved out with a knife. She was completely unhinged, acting erratically every day. No one knew what had happened to her overseas. I had her committed to a mental institution. Perhaps due to returning home, her mental state fluctuated between stable and unstable. She often cried out, demanding to see her daughter. With no other choice, I went to see her once. She beamed, cradling a honeycomb cake in her arms. "Look what I have here. It's your little sister." Suddenly, she burst into tears. "Serena, save your sister. Please save her. She's turned into a honeycomb cake. Your father's head is gone." My back was drenched in cold sweat, and I turned to leave immediately. "You don't come back here again.